Stock futures are down this morning. They ended on a high note last week. However, jobless claims continue to rise. We know this. Here to talk about what exactly is happening on Wall Street, how it could affect our wallets. That's the big question. We have Sibile Marcellus from Yahoo Finance. So good morning to you, Sibile. Thank you for joining us this morning. Let's begin with this.
Good morning, Dan.
Hey, last week stock market numbers rose, right? So we all saw that. But is it a good thing for our country's economic future? Kind of lay it out for me.
Right. So what we're seeing right now this morning, Monday morning, we're seeing U.S. stock futures are actually falling. And the stocks that are leading the losses are the ones that would benefit the most from a reopening, such as airlines, cruise lines, casinos, retailers. And what's happening is that there's concern about how effective the reopening of the U.S. economy that we've been seeing throughout a couple different states is going to be. What has happened, what has changed since Friday, because on Friday, we saw stocks, they posted their first weekly gain in 3 weeks. The difference is that over the past couple of days, we've seen that countries around the world where we thought they had been through the worst of the coronavirus pandemic, they're now dealing with a new flare-up of coronavirus infections, and that's spooking investors.
So this is more of a roller coaster then, right? We're going to see these gains and everybody gets excited and then it drops again. So what can we expect to see this week?
Right. It's definitely a roller coaster ride. The market volatility is not gone. We did benefit a little bit when we saw a market rally, despite the fact that we had the worst jobs report on record on Friday. But we're seeing that we're not past the worst of it. Some economists are even saying that we're headed towards a depression, which is an extreme recession, and that takes years to get out of. So we're definitely not in the clear at all. And seeing that 20.5 million jobs were lost in 1 month, more than the entire 2008 financial crisis, we're definitely in the red here. And we're going to need Congress and Washington to come up with new stimulus for Americans.
So let's talk about that stimulus, right? Because the unemployment numbers are rising. People already burned through that $1,200 stimulus check that they received because there were just bills that need to be paid, right? So the big question is there a second round of stimulus checks for these folks in our future? And how much would that check even be?
Right. So we're waiting for a new round of fiscal stimulus. The White House has indicated that they're waiting to see the effect of the states that started reopening their economies. But we're seeing Democratic lawmakers such as former presidential candidates, Senator Bernie Sanders, Senator Kamala Harris, saying that we need $2,000 a month for every working household to help Americans get through the pandemic. That one-time $1,200 stimulus check, they're saying, is not enough.
So what's the likelihood or possibility that could even happen, right? You have a few people saying so, but everybody has to agree for this to happen. So what's the likelihood here?
Right. That's the biggest challenge. We need these lawmakers, both Democrats and Republicans, to work together to get us this new round of fiscal stimulus. So Nancy Pelosi would like to get a bill on the floor this week. She also wants to include aid for states and municipalities. But we'll see if Republicans are willing to be on board, and if they're willing to agree and get us some more stimulus.
So I'm curious to get your take on this one, right? Because everybody says if we reopen the states, then you'll start to see the economy kind of boost back, right? But some states have begun to reopen. So what are you hearing in terms of those that have reopened? Are they seeing any kind of economic boom or rebound here?
Right. It's too soon to tell if the slow reopenings we've seen in certain states is really going to have a huge effect on the U.S. economy. For example, restaurants that reopened, they're opening at a reduced capacity. So it's not like there's a big need to rehire the 20.5 million people who were laid off recently. So that's the biggest challenge. Even though we're slowly reopening the U.S. economy, we're not seeing an opportunity for everybody who lost their jobs prior to the coronavirus shutdowns to get it back. And that's what we really need to get the U.S. economy back to where it was.
All very interesting. Yeah, I was reading an article this weekend that said even if restaurants do reopen, they have to have all their staff come, but they aren't going to be full, right? So they might actually be at a loss for fully reopening. We'll see how all this plays out. Sibile, thank you so much for joining us. By the way, did you get a flower delivery over the weekend? There's a lot of flowers behind you.
Yeah, exactly. It smells great.